From Unity of Houston, Texas, this is the Awakened Life with Reverend Howard Caesar. Unity is a non-denominational spiritual community providing a positive, practical, and progressive approach to Christianity. Let's join the service in progress now with Reverend Howard Caesar.
Well, today my lesson is really geared towards kind of building a bridge between Thanksgiving and Christmas. And there's a word that I like that I think applies for both. And the word of today's lesson is benevolence. Benevolence. It's a great word. And I even started a little poem, it's not too long, about this, where it goes like this. Benevolence is the word of the day. Benevolence is the loving way. Benevolence is the nature of God to whom we pray. Benevolence describes the universe in which you and I play. The word is benevolence. And actually the dictionary definition for benevolence means the inclination to do good. The inclination to do good, all right? That is the nature of God. Here in Unity we emphasize, and you should have grasped by now, the idea that we believe that God is good, the whole universe is good. That nothing but the good that you seek is actually seeking you. That a big part of life is actually removing the things from our consciousness that are in the way of the flow of that incredible good that's flowing into our life. And so we have, all of us, a benevolent God, a God of good. And the nature of the Christ is benevolence. We're going to be celebrating Christmas. We're in the Christmas season. And really, it's an acknowledgement of the idea that the birth of Jesus Christ is a benevolent inclination of God to deliver to us good. Our elder brother, Jesus Christ, the teachings, the difference that it has continued to make in the world, and the fact that we have and teach that we have the Christ within us. We have the divinity of God within us. That's a benevolence of the divine. And so benevolent awareness is something that we all want to really develop within the framework of our consciousness. And benevolent awareness is basically beholding or the recognition of God's good being on display and in evidence in our life. It's partly thankfulness, and it's partly simply acknowledging the flow of good in our lives. We teach that thoughts held in mind produce after their kind. Therefore, whatever it is that we're creating and cultivating in consciousness, we're creating in like kind, a continuation. Basically, all of us have and are given choices to make each and every day, and in terms of how we're going to be and what it is we're going to see and how we're going to see the life, the kinds of energies that we're going to be aligned with within ourselves, whether we are, really coming from the framework of positive, constructive energies or something less than that. And so depending on where you look and how you look at life, you can gather the evidence for, I feel, these benevolent moments of the divine. You can find the good, you can find the bad, you can find the ugly. It's there if you want to find and look for it. You can find love, and examples of love, or you can find examples of hate. You can find the beautiful, or you can find the ugly. You can find a hole and fill it, or you can find a hole and climb in it. So, so we have many choices. Should I go on? But the point is, really, whatever the mind, and this is a law of the mind actually, whatever it is that the mind decides to believe and truly believe, it will gather evidence to support that belief, and basically only. And it will be blind to all the evidence to the contrary. It will just keep gathering everything to make yourself right, and yet there is the other side. And so it's important to really look at what our beliefs are, and also to mold and shape them so that we recognize the high end of life. A mind convinced against its will is of the same opinion still. All right, so if you lock onto a belief and you try and convince somebody of something else, until they're ready to release and let go, they're going to hang on to that, and that's going to be their experience, because that's the law of life. Beliefs are a powerful thing, whether they're toward the good or the bad, depending on the nature of one's consciousness. And Another thing that's very important in life, I feel, are intentions. We go into intentions with each and every day, and we determine, whether we're going to bring some form of good into our life, whether we're going to contribute to the day in some way. There's so many things that we can do in life to be of the, be a part of the handiwork of the divine, and be used for good, and to be able to then begin to see and behold the sense of the expansiveness that this world is about. Life is filled with moments, significant moments, God moments. And some of us are attuned to seeing them, experiencing them, acknowledging them, and sometimes they pass on by these God moments. As I say, Christmas is one God moment, a big one with the birth of Jesus Christ, but there are many that fill our lives throughout, basically every day. The light of God shines everywhere. The presence of God is everywhere. Therefore, there are basically benevolent God moments that are occurring in your life and mine all the time. And it's something that is wonderful when you pause and stop and acknowledge that is something going on in terms of the movement of God. We know and believe that there is a vibration, a frequency that we can live at, and we can create a vibration within our consciousness that really opens the door to more and more seemingly moments, God moments. And at least I feel that's the way it is with me. And this vibration idea is spoken of also in one of the Psalms. Well, actually, it's my favorite Psalm, Psalm 100. I know it's a favorite of others of you, but it's one that I love to go back to again and again because it is so clear in terms of what it is advising us to do. It is chock full of truth and ideas. I'm going to share it with you now. It's not a very long psalm, and maybe you can kind of pull from it all the things that it is advising us as a spiritual being on the path. Listen closely. Make a joyful noise to the Lord. That's talking about the vibration, really. Make a joyful noise to the Lord, all the lands. Next, serve the Lord with gladness. Come into his presence with singing. Know the Lord is God. It is he that made us, and we are his. We are his people and the sheep of his pasture. Enter his gates with thanksgiving and his courts with praise. Give thanks to him. Bless his name. Name meaning nature, the nature being good. For the Lord is good. That's the next line. His steadfast love endures forever, and his faithfulness to all generations. Now that's it. And that's just chock full of to-dos and tremendous content, Make a joyful noise. How many of us are really making a joyful noise? That means being into a frequency and a vibration of love and light and goodness. That's a joyful noise. It doesn't have to even be loud. It doesn't even have to be articulated. It's just a beingness is what it's talking about. Make a joyful noise to the Lord. Serve the Lord with gladness. Where are we serving? And in what way are we contributing to this life? And doing it with gladness. Happy to be given the opportunity. Come into his presence. Very important. It's talking about practicing the presence. Come into that presence. All right? Very valuable. Know that the Lord is God. Know that God is God and that God is with you as a presence. Enter into his gates with thanksgiving. Give thanks. Bless his name. The Lord is good. His love endures forever. His faithfulness is to all. So if you do all those things, you really go through them and understand how much there is there to do and to know these truths, then you're really on your way towards higher levels of consciousness and a whole another kind of experience of life. One of the important teachings in that passage, among the many, is the significance of noticing and acknowledging and having an awareness that something is happening there, having to do with knowing that God is your God, that there's an inclination towards good. It's kind of saying, as you go through your day, when certain things happen, that are moments where you can say, this is God at work here. That was God at work. What just happened was really the movement of spirit in my life. Was an expression of it. That expression of love, that was God. That expression of guidance was God. Life is made up of these, and we should take note of them and be aware of all the ways in which this presence is with us, trying to help us, like the good that we seek is seeking us, and just open to it, acknowledge that, and you'll begin to see them. We talk about God being light. God is a light that we can feel beaming within us, or we can actually recognize it as a light external to us. There was a time some years back where we were told there was going to be a meteor shower going on in our world, and that it was on the news. And I don't know, this is 8 or 10 years ago, and I did some journaling about a number of things having to do with benevolent moments or God moments in my life where I acknowledged and felt a presence of God. It's very good to do that kind of thing. And so I was back reading some of them. And anyway, this was a time where this meteor shower was supposed to be on, and it was only going to happen once every 200 years. And so it was your one and only chance in this life. So I decided to do it, and I noticed that I didn't bump into another single person that got up and did it, because the height of it was supposed to be between like 3 and 5 in the morning. And I guess there were very, very few that did that. But anyway, I set my alarm for 3:30 and got up and went out in the backyard and laid down on a lawn chair and looked up at the sky and started counting meteors. And there were about 5 that I noticed that came shooting through. And it was really neat. It was a special moment. It was between me and God. It was a God moment. And it was like capturing the whole universe that was there, in theater. Quite awesome. That was a moment that I wondered how many thousands upon thousands of people never captured. They didn't allow themselves to be in a moment that was being offered to them. It's kind of like God was saying, hey, I really got something neat to show you. And many of us didn't. But it's how we position ourselves, really, to the idea that there are sacred, holy God moments that occur in our lives. As I say, I was journaling and about a number of these and came across them, and it's, again, just backing up the idea that, as the psalmist says, come into his presence. How are you coming into his presence? How are you affirming that there is a presence of a spirit that's helping and assisting, that has an inclination of good, that this just happened, oh man, that was spirit, and in a benevolent moment, where his good came and helped me and assisted me. Diane and I had like a 24-hour period in which a number of these kind of moments happened for me, and I recorded them. And one of them was we were invited to a birthday party, a surprise birthday party in Austin, Texas. And it was actually for this ministerial team, husband and wife, and they have since moved on to Michigan, but they were serving there in Austin at the time, and it was Ron and Lenore Scott. And so Ron was making a surprise birthday party for his wife, and so there were like 100 people that invited, and that is quite a feat to have a surprise birthday party in a church. It just gets around fast. How can you keep that was miraculous, and he accomplished it. And so there were like 100 people at a wedding hall, that is where they had it, and she came in and was totally surprised. She really admitted, and she didn't know anything about it. It was so neat to be a part of that and to feel the love, 100 people there, just and how much she was moved by it. The next thing that happened was he quieted everyone down and said he had worked out their 2 sons were calling in on a landline there. And so he had it amplified on a speaker so that everyone could hear the conversation between the 2 sons and her. So the phone rang and she went to it knowing that it would be her sons, picked up, and they said, hi Mom, we're sorry, happy birthday, and we're sorry we couldn't be there, we'd love to be there. And she said, oh, thank you for the call, it just means a lot, I had the surprise, everything. And so they're carrying on a little bit, and then all of a sudden, a door opened, and in the 2 of them came walking with a cell phone. And that was a God moment. What ensued between these 2 sons and the mom, the embrace, the joy, brought tears to everybody. there were 100 people in there that had a God moment, a benevolent moment, a moment in which you were able to say, that is God at work here as love. That's one thing, but it's to acknowledge, God's presence is here in the hearts and minds and souls of people, bringing them together in a beautiful, beautiful way. And so I really felt that, and that's why I wrote about it. And we met so many people there at that party that had moved. When I came here 33 years ago, Austin hadn't been discovered. And of course now it's just boom. And so we had a lot of people that moved there from our congregation. And so when in that 100 people, there were a lot of people coming up to Diane and I and saying, oh, we got our start in Unity in Houston at your church, and we're so grateful and so love it, and da-da-da-da. So it was very rewarding from that standpoint. And there was one couple that came up to us, and their name was, they were the Yorks, Y-O-R-K-S. And they said, we just want to share something with you that was just a big part of our life. It was the first day we came to your church in Houston. They had attended about 7 years in Houston before moving to Austin. And they said, we just want to tell you that we had been looking for a church with a particular message. And the first day we came and we attended, we both husband and wife, went out to their car, got in the car, and both of them just wept. 2 people were moved that way. Now, it wasn't that my lesson was bad. No, it was a beautiful thing. And the beautiful thing was that was their God movement. That was a God moment. God had brought them where they felt they could align and felt like they had come home spiritually. And it meant so much to them. They had remembered it years later and wanted to share it and gave us a God moment to have them share something so personal and so beautiful. We left the party went fairly late, so we didn't go all the way back to Houston on the drive. About an hour's drive back somewhere, we got a motel and got some sleep and thought we would drive the rest of the way back. It was a Friday night that this party happened. And so the next morning, got up and checked out and we're going to the car. And when I got to the car, it was like, oh, I don't have my keys. Oh, I left the keys in the room. So I had to go back to the front desk and have them make another key so I could get back into the same room. And I went to where I thought the keys were, which was on a dresser which had some drawers. Of course, we didn't know we were going to spend the night, so we really didn't have clothes and stuff there. And I thought the keys were right on top of this set of drawers. And there was nothing there. And I just stood there for a moment. And then, where are these keys? And then something said, open the drawer, the top drawer. And I opened the top drawer, and you know what was in there? It wasn't keys. It was my wallet. Somehow I had taken my wallet out and put it in that drawer that night. I don't know why. And anyway, so it was like in that moment I just went like, wow, this is a God moment. God brought me back to get keys, but really it was to get my wallet. And instead of me finding out about it when I got back to Houston or whenever, and that's pretty precious, your driver's license and charge cards and everything else. So it was a God moment, and I wrote about that, because it's a beautiful thing to stop in a moment and say, thank you, God. Yeah, this was not just an accident here. This was help. This was help that was being given to me, a form of guidance. And as I'm sharing these, you're probably thinking of those moments that have happened for you as well in your life. And, one other moment that was part of that trip was coming back after I found my keys. Oh, the keys were on the bed that was unmade. Sorry. That's where they were. But God brought me back to get my wallet. So we were driving back, and we decided to have breakfast, and it was very busy. It was in Columbus, Texas, that we stopped for breakfast and got out, and it was a long wait. Finally, we were served, and I was checking out at the cashier, and Diane was in the restroom, and I had been the previous week looking for and going to be searching for a former board member who had been a president of the board and had moved to Georgia and was living in Georgia, was my understanding. Had been on the board like 10 years previous. And I can't remember why, but I wanted to locate him and his wife, Alan and Cindy Goldsberry. Some of you know them. They were very active here in the church and in the city of Houston, had a business. Anyway, when I was going to look for them the next week, and I was at the cashier, and all of a sudden I heard voices of some people coming in the front door, and one of the voices sounded very familiar. And I turned around and it was Cindy Goldsberry, the lady that I was needing to connect with. Found out that they had moved back from Georgia into Texas, and it was like a neat reunion, and they let me know where they were living again. So again, another God moment, and I was very grateful. There were, I was on a roll on that 24-hour period, and it can be like that. It really can. Now one other I want to tell you about is, because it can be like guidance. And there was the time that we were considering this building as a project, a new sanctuary. It was back in early 2000, 2001, something like that. We were having meetings, a couple of meetings, like town hall meetings. And they were in the pyramid, and so people would come on an evening and we would lay out what the project was, what it involved, have the architects there. They had a Q&A time, and then people following that would kind of share whether they were in favor of it or not and why, and that was fine. So they passed the mic around. Anyway, at the end of that whole process that evening, with quite a large group of people there in the pyramid, one man who was actually the final man to share whether he was in favor of it or not, they handed him the mic. He was at the back of the room sitting there, and he stood up and he said, I'm not a member of this church. And he began with that. He said, in fact, I'm not a Christian. And he said, I am of the Baha'i faith. And he said, I'm here because I had dinner with one of your members who was coming to this meeting, and she left her daytimer on the table when I went to pay. So I came here looking for her because I knew she would need her daytimer. And I ended up sitting down and listening to this evening. And he said, I've been sitting here and I am thrilled with this project of a new sanctuary that you're considering. I know about this church. This church is unity. It's all about unity, and we need unity in the world. Baha'i is very similar. They're about unity too. And I just think that it's wonderful what you people are up to, and I hope you go for it. Sat down. Everyone was stunned. Everyone felt like that was a God moment. Everyone thought that this was like an angel that somehow had appeared and said, go ahead and do it, Some thought it was a plant that I had put in there. But it wasn't. It was a beautiful, beautiful happening. It was the movement of God. It was a God moment, and I wrote about it. I like to keep God moments. I have cards and notes and letters and emails that people have sent me that have touched my heart, and I have like a place that I go to them. I have phone messages that have come to me that I keep, and I'm going to share one with you. Some I have that are years old. I've kept them as a phone message, voicemail, and some are 6 months old, 10 months old, some are years. This one is just about a month old, and this one came, oh no. Okay. You bearing with me? This is going to be on TV, by the way, so I better know what I'm doing. Okay, now I'm not going to let you hear the phone number because you may call. This is my daughter's phone number, and it's from my granddaughter, Dylan, 5 years old. Okay. Right. You can get all the numbers.
8. Duration 35 seconds.
Hi, Papa. How are you doing? We just wanted to call you when you're ready. So when you're ready, you can call us, but make sure it's not when I'm at school, because I'm gonna be at school soon. Bye, Papa. I love you.
See all those awes, those are God moments. So who wouldn't want to keep that? Who in God's green earth would want to erase that? And so I've listened to that many times just in the last 20 some days since it's come in. And that's the way life should be. That was a God moment. And so it makes me be grateful for that little girl being in my life, her mother, her father, many things that peel off of that in terms of acknowledging a benevolent moment that it has come to me in my life. Now, we're approaching the Christmas time and the Christmas season, and we bring family together and friends, and there's a lot that goes on that has to do with the inclination of good, which is benevolence. And so I just want you to know that it's this inclination of good. It is the way of God. It is the way of the universe. It is the way of Christ. It is the way of Christmas, and it can be the way of you as you continue to take note and look and acknowledge all of the benevolent God moments that come to you, because they begin to multiply and more come into your attention. And you not only notice those that are coming at you, but you become part of delivering them, and your world changes. And so as you look into this season that we're heading into, look at it from the perspective that there is the opportunity for many rich, glorious, beautiful, love-filled, joy-filled, light-filled God moments where you can be a benevolent being and you can recognize the benevolence of the God that placed you here in this life. In wishing you a Merry Christmas, I'm at the same time wishing you many benevolent moments. God bless you.
Thank you for joining us for today's message. We invite you to be with us again next Sunday. Unity is inclusive, welcoming people of all walks of life in dignity and love. We believe that love, strength, and goodness dwells within you. May we all live in unity with God, humanity, and all of God's creation. And remember, as Reverend Caesar says, life is meant to be good.
Hi, I'm Howard Caesar, Senior Minister at Unity of Houston. And the Christmas season is upon us. And one of the things we do here at Unity of Houston is to celebrate the historical birth of Jesus Christ, but also the birth of the Christ within all of us. And so if you do not have a church home or a place to go to celebrate Christmas Eve candlelighting services, I personally invite you, your family, your friends to come join us for a wonderful experience here at Unity, where we have great music, some of your favorite Christmas songs, a brief inspirational message, and every individual gets to light their own unique candle. And so our services are at 4, 6, and 8 p.m. We hope that you might choose one of them and come join us and light a candle to the world and truly experience the joy and the magic of Christmas.